In this video, you can see that the background I've set up with grid paper. So in order to get checked off for this task, which is task number 6, you need to get up and get a piece of grid paper from Mr. Kruger's table near his desk. So here we go, let's do this problem. I took these right off of your packet. So the first problem here is dividing a whole number by a whole number. So 770 divided by 14. So you would say 770, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. 770 divided by 14. So you do the same on your grid paper. So what is the divisor and what is the dividend? The dividend is what's being divided up. So we would say 770 divided by 14. Divided by 14. And then I'm going to just go ahead and put my decimal here, just in case. And I'm going to put a 0, just in case. All right, so the first thing we do is we say, how many times does 14 go into 7? Well, 14 does not go into 7, so I'm just going to put a little X there, letting me know, no, 14 doesn't go into 7. Now, 14 into 70, well, let's say 77 is almost 80, and if we say 14, that's just about 10. How many 10s go into 8? Well, 10 times 8 is 80, so maybe 14 times, let's just try this. So I'm modeling how you would try this. So 14 times 8 over here. 8 times 4 is 32. Wow, we're way high. My estimate was bad. 8 times 1 plus 3 is 11. All right, so I can see right there I'm going to have to drop that down. Let's try 14 times 5. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 1 plus 2 is 70. So that's more like it. 14 times 5. So we're going to say 14 goes into 77 5 times for a total of 70. Now we subtract. 7 minus 0 is 7. We bring down this 0. You're doing the same on your grid paper. All right, I'm going to move my decimal up. 70, 14 goes into 70. Well, we just figured that out. 14 goes into 75 times. 14 times 5 is 70. 70 minus 70 is the answer of 0 remainder. So the answer is 55. Do another one. Once again, doing this on your grid paper. Make this a little bigger. All right, so here's a decimal in both the divisor and the dividend. Here's one thing I like to teach. Instead of saying what's 7.5 divided by 0.0125, I like to write this down. I'm just going to show you. You don't have to write this down, but just follow me. You might like this method better. 7.5 divided by 0.0125. It's helpful if you turn the divisor and the dividend, well, especially the divisor, into a whole number. So if this is my divisor right here, to make this a whole number, I need to move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 times I need to move that. Well, to make the division work out correctly, if you move the divisor decimal 4 times, once again it was 1, 2, 3, 4, you have to do the same in the dividend. So you need to move this one 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So now I have 75,000 divided by 125. So it would be 75,000 divided up into 125 equal parts. If you don't like to turn the divisor into a whole number first and turn the dividend, or move the decimal in the dividend, you don't have to do that. You can still do the old standby way where we say 7.5 divided by I need to erase this. I'm going to erase this here. 7.5. Sorry about that. 7.5 divided by 0.0125. You can still do it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. That means I have to move this one. 1, I'm going to add my zeros. 2, 3, 4. So there's my decimal, and I bring it up. So either way will get you there. So how do we do this problem? We say 125, does it go into 7? No. Does it go into 75? No. Well, how many 125s go into 750? Well, 125 times 7 obviously is going to get us, let's do 125 times 6. So I'm using some estimating skills. 125 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 3 is 15. Bingo, 750. Okay, so 125 goes into 750 6 times for 750. I subtract. I get a bunch of zeros. But we still have to bring down this 0 right here. We have to bring down this 0. And we say 125 goes into 0 times for 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. We have to do this until all of the zeros are used in our dividend. 125 goes into 0 times for 0, and now we're done because we used all of our zeros. And how would you check your answer? Well, simply you would say, what's 600 times 125? So we just take the quotient times the divisor. I'm going to do 125 times 6, and I'll put my zeros on at the end. Well, 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15. 6 times 1 plus 1 is 7. And then I have to put my 2 zeros on because we were really multiplying, remember, by 600. So boom, boom. And now we know our answer is correct. So 600 times 125 is 75,000. 75,000 divided by 125 is 600. You should be writing this problem out on the grid paper if you need to get checked off. Nice and neat. Let's do one more. All right, this problem. 118.4 divided by 6.4. So we have a decimal in both the dividend and the divisor. So I like to do it this way. 118.4 divided by 6.4. Well, this is my divisor, and I have to make that a whole number, so I have to move the decimal over one time. And if I move the decimal over here in the divisor, right here, I have to do the same in the dividend. Move it over one time. So now what's my answer, or what's my problem going to be set up as? We're going to say 1,184 divided by 64. 64. And then we do the math. 64 does not go into 1. It does not go into 11. It goes into 118. Well, what would 64 times 2 be? Well, 4 times 2 is 8. 6 times 2 is 12. Well, that's too much. So it's only got to go in there one time. 64 times 1 is 64. Notice where I line it up. 8 minus 4 is 4. Borrow. 11 minus 6 is 5. And we have to drop this 4 down here. So 64, well, 60, if we called 64 60, and this we just left this as 54, we know that 8 times 6 is 48, so that's pretty close. 8 times 6 is 40, 8 times 7 is 56. I think that's going to be too much. Let's just do 64 times 8. Let's try that. 64 times 8. So once again, I'm trying to figure out how many 64s go into 544. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 6 is 48, plus 3, 48 for 9, 50, 51. So that's 512. So that we said it went in there 8 times for 512. I'm going to go ahead and move this decimal up Don't forget the decimal. Then I'm going to subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2. 4 minus 1 is 3. And we have to bring the 0 down. So we have 320, and we got to figure out how many 64s go into 320. So 64, if we say 60 times 5 would be 300. Let's just do 64 times 5. 64 times 5. 5 times 4 is 20. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 2 is 320. Bingo. So our quotient is 18.5. We'll get you 320, and we'll have no remainder. It's a beautiful thing. And we can check our answer by taking our quotient, which is 18.5, and multiplying that by 64. And if you do that, you will see that you get 1,184. So I did 3 examples with you. You can watch them more than once, and I showed you a technique of where you should move the decimals.